Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tamara Gashecki. I am a facilitator here at the Nonprofit Help Desk, and we're really glad to have you here with us today for Motivation and Development, Driving Satisfaction and Performance with Linda Rich. Just a few notes before we get started. We here at the JCC GCI Nonprofit Help Desk are truly a help desk. So we have lots of hopefully useful information for you. We do these free live webinars and workshops. We archive them all on our website, which you can find in the chat at mphd.org. We have a really robust LinkedIn community, so please feel free to find us there and come join and talk with us. We also offer expert support, which you can find on our website, again, mphd.org. And at that point, you're able to, if you have a specific question or a specific barrier that you're trying to get past, you're able to ask for expert help. Next slide, please. And so see, these are some of our recent motivations. I actually lead the webinars for New York City discretionary funding, but we've had recent webinars on ethical storytelling, best practices for annual board meetings. So you think you want to do a capital campaign, and some of these are coming up. So we hope that you'll register for more webinars with us and come join us. Next week coming up, we have multi-generational. You can go back one slide. Yep, multi-generational conflict resolution, guarding your reputation, as well as so you think you want to do a capital campaign. Next slide, please. And so remember, we really are a help desk. We offer support in a variety of different ways, ranging from fundraising, promotion, legal, IT, leadership. You can kind of think of us as the geek squad for your nonprofit. And if you need more assistance or you're interested in what we're doing, again, you can go to nphd.org and you can find us there. You can ask for expert help there. You'll also find all of our past webinars. You can watch them, the video, as well as download those slide decks. You can get additional resources there. So feel free to look us up there and use us as a resource, which is what we hope we are. So for today, again, we're really excited to welcome Linda Rich as today's guest speaker. We're going to work on motivation and development, driving satisfaction and performing, where we uncover the core frameworks around motivation and development and apply related skills to increase employee engagement, satisfaction, and performance. Linda Rich is a wonderful executive coach here and specialist in leadership development. She's worked in the corporate world for many years, and now she's focusing on the nonprofit sector. And we're really, really lucky to have her here with us today. So I'm happy to welcome Linda to the Zoom and sit back and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We are going to talk about the good topics, not managing poor performance and that sort of thing that we sometimes find ourselves needing to do. Today's topics are the things that help our employees grow, be more engaged, be more productive, and develop new skills and all that. So it's a little like the good stuff. I'm happy to be here to do the good stuff. You will be receiving the slides and the audio from this presentation, so you don't need to write everything down and don't need to ask about whether that'll be happening. It will be happening. So what we're doing today is we're going to look at these two topics where there is obviously some overlap, but two separate topics. And we'll look at some frameworks, some ways to think about, understand, get your hands around the topic, and then practical application. What do I do with this? What does it sound like if I want to speak to my employee about this? Okay. So let's start with a little writing in the chat. And we have a sentence completion. If my directs were 5% more motivated, then what? If my directs were 5% more motivated, then what? What would happen if your directs were 5% more motivated? Oh, this is great. Toby says we could get 20% more work done. It's probably absolutely true. Danielle said more productivity, more impact on the people we serve. No. Anyone else? Okay. Well, if not, we'll move on. Okay, so one important thing to know about motivation is that it's both universal and individual. So there are things that we all share as people, and then there are things that motivate me, but not you, or you, but not me. So we have to think about both of those categories. So one of the really foundational theories in this field is Hertzberg's two-factor theory. And he's saying there are two sets of different factors. The things that make you unhappy at work, dissatisfied, have to do more with the structure and the environment and things like that around the job. And if you don't have them, or if you have them in a negative way, you will be unsatisfied. But the things that motivate you are not the same as the things that dissatisfy you. The things that satisfy or motivate you are different items. So all these, the hygiene, what he called hygiene factors, have to do with the structures, the policies, the conditions. You know, it's way too hot in your office. It's way too hot in the office. They finally get that fixed, and now you're no longer dissatisfied by the heat, but having the right temperature is not something that motivates you. There are other things that, and these are the more intrinsic, the things that are natural to you rather than to the structure framework of the job. Any questions? You can put your questions in the chat, but you can also, raise your hand if you want, using the symbol. Okay, so we've got to talk about what are those universals and what are the particulars. And there's a really easy formulation, which Hogan uses. This, different people have a different language around it. Hogan talks about getting ahead, getting along, and finding meaning. So it's like the work and the people, which you always find you have the work side and the people side. So getting ahead and getting along. And different people will have different levels of needs. We all need these. Some people are very much on one versus the other. And recently, Harvard Business Review, working with Meta, did a very large study and validated that these are indeed the top three categories, and came up with some nice language around it. Career, community, and cause. So when you're in a nonprofit, it's probably a lot easier to get to the meaning, to the cause, than if you're in other organizations. But you can still help people see the larger cause, the bigger impact that their work is having. Maybe, yes, on the client, but maybe also on the organization, maybe even on the field, maybe even in some other way. So you may know the story of the three laborers. You come across three laborers and you ask them what they're doing. And the first one says, I'm digging earth out of the ground. And the second one says, I'm making bricks. And the third one says, I'm building a cathedral. So you want to help people see that cathedral and connect to it and know that that is what they are doing. There's a study by Gallup saying some managers are more work-oriented, some are more people-oriented. The ones who do both simultaneously, the people who work for them are 36% more likely to love their jobs. So if you're doing one and not the other, or not enough of one or the other, this is look to do them both. Okay. Okay, so another way to look at levels of motivation. And again, it's extrinsic moving to intrinsic. So you might do something. Yeah, I'm your boss. I told you to do something. Well, you're going to do it because I'm your boss and I told you. And that's what happens. Another time is you're going to do it because you want me to. It'll make you boss. It'll be good for you. It'll make you happy. I'll do it because you asked me. But because I want to satisfy you. Then the internal is I'm doing it because I want to do it. And lastly, it's the ultimate is I'm doing it because it makes a difference. This is the meaning. And again, you're in a nonprofit. You probably connect with that pretty easily. Questions? Let's stop for a minute. No? Okay. Okay. You really can ask questions. You really do want a little bit of back and forth. But to, we'll move on. And when you do have questions, please ask them. Okay. Now, another thing that we all want to some degree is autonomy. We want to control our own lives. We want to be in charge of ourselves. We don't want someone else micromanaging us or telling us how to make, how to do things, how to make decisions, which things are important or not. We want as much as possible to have all those opportunities to make decisions and exercise judgment on ourselves, our work, our lives. And again, we're looking for that intrinsic motivation. If you allow people to have ownership and responsibility, that is going to lead to intrinsic motivation. And by the way, you can ask your employees. Let's say you think you might be over managing or maybe under managing. So you can sit down. You're having another conversation with an employee. Can I just ask you something about how we work together? Because I want to do whatever will make you most productive. So I really want to ask you, do I give you too much management and support, not enough management support, or just the right amount? How could we adjust that if necessary? Okay, so those are some of the top level, everything we share as humans items. Okay, then we get to individual motivation factors that are going to be different for everybody. So you don't assume your person wants to get ahead because the person, maybe they don't. Maybe they're more interested in learning new things or making connections. Maybe they want, someone wants a secure and stable workplace. Someone else wants a job. Someone else wants more challenge and exploration and not necessarily secure workplace where things are different and they have opportunities to do different kinds of things. And some of these can be done without, necessarily, can be satisfied without necessarily more money, right? All of these things that are here are primarily not money connected. So the question is, the idea is to tap into the person's motivation and address their motivation, whether it's with money or not. Do you want to give them money that they say, well, that wasn't what I wanted, or the money lasts? It doesn't, the motivational effect of money is short term. So let's say you got a salary bump and you're very happy for a week, 2 weeks. Sooner or later, it's going to become just your salary and it's not going to continue to motivate you. It moves over into a hygiene factor. Right? So you have to find out what someone's individual motivations are. And you do that in a conversation. That sounds like a motivation conversation. And what does that sound like? So it sounds like things like, what do you like best about your job? And then you have to ask, what is it about that? Because let's say someone says to you, my favorite thing to do is going out to the clients to solve problems. Well, you might have one person who says that, and what they're really motivated by is solving problems. You have another person who's really motivated by seeing clients and dealing with clients. So you really have to drill down and say, okay, what is it about that you find motivating? And that's really where you get to the meat of the thing. Another thing to say is, if you had a really great day at work, you came home and you told whoever you live with that you had a great day at work, what likely happened that day that caused you to say that? So if you're a manager, I've asked this to people on interviews, and some managers will say, if my people succeeded, if my people delivered, and other people will say, if I did X, Y, Z. So it's an interesting way to look at managers and where their focus is. Okay, and another way to go for the positives is, is there anything in your job for which you say, if I could do this all day, every day, I'd be happy? And then come back also, what is it about that would make you happy, that you would love to do all the time? And then there are other, so that's all you want to focus, in my opinion, you want to focus on the positives. What's great? What do they love? What do they want to do all the time? What makes them happy? However, there's also parts of the job that they don't like. And what is it about those that causes them not to like them? Maybe you find out there's all kinds of red tape and procedures that they go through that they really want to not have to do because it really saps their energy. Maybe you can fix that. And then in terms of development, what are the strengths that they want to grow, they want to increase? And let's say we do come up with something like problem solving. How might we incorporate more of that into your job? So you're going to have ideas about too, but ask them first, like a coaching conversation. Keep it in questions, ask them, make them the ones who say what their motivators are, rather than you. You can, if they don't know, then maybe they're motivated by learning more about themselves and increasing their self-awareness, which they can use, in all different ways. We'll talk about that in the development piece in a bit. Okay. A few other things you can add to this conversation. Help me understand what I can do to help you succeed or succeed more. Okay. Tell me about a time that you felt most motivated. What was it about that time that caused you to feel most motivated? Okay. Stop for a minute again for any questions. Okay, we have a question about teacher observation and feedback. In general, I'm in favor of observation and feedback, but the person doing the observation has to be qualified to do that. I did a coaching assignment once where it was for a very large group. I had 6 people I was coaching, and I had 3 opportunities to see them in action. So I could provide feedback in the minute, in the reality. Okay, Latoya is asking about a client who has no idea she can be helped. I'm not sure how that fits into the motivation. But if you want to put another message to Latoya, please do. Ah, great example. So Latoya says that she worked with a woman who didn't know she could be helped. And helping her realize that and see that was like it was a rush, right? That was what she needed and what motivated her. And she found out from that interaction. Great. So that's like the question of, when did you have a great day at work, or was there a time in your life where your job was so motivating? Thank you, Latoya. Thank you very much. It's great. Okay. Okay. Go forward. No, this is my favorite Peter Drucker quote, and he has lots of quotes to choose from. Drucker says, they still talk about our engineers. And I say, brother, you don't have engineers. You have Joe and Mary and Jim and Bob, and each is different. So if what you're doing is treating everyone the same because you want to be, fair, that's going to be good for some who match up with the way you're treating them, but not everybody does. And so what's better is to connect with each person around their motivation and tap into that. I'm going to try another chat. Maybe this will work this time. Okay, moving on to development. What is an area where you want to develop, or you want to help someone else develop? An area where you want to develop or help someone else develop. And if you could put that in the chat, that would be great. So we see that we're speaking to real issues that people have. Great. So we have time management and taking initiative. The taking initiative is particularly interesting to me because it's partly a cognitive thing, right? Good. And both of those are not easy to help people with. Okay. And Latoya, I'm not sure what you're talking about with vibrate high. Does that mean you want to be high energy? I'm going to assume that. Slowing down and appreciating the wonder of life. That's great. You can do something like, Alan, you can put a picture on your wall in your office, and it's like of mountains or of streams, and that's reminding you to do that. Okay. Okay, providing access for systems isn't really what we are talking about here, but also a good thing to develop. Okay. Soft skills. Oh, of course, right? Professional development. And we say things like soft skills, and we assume that we know exactly what it is and exactly what we need. But we're going to, a little further, we're going to talk about that. Okay. So these are some examples of development areas. Building self-awareness, especially if you don't know what your strengths and weaknesses and motivators are. So there are things you can do to have that as your development goal. And once you know, then maybe choose something else. So sort of technical things here: project management, finance, fundraising. Put time management in that category. Excuse me. Negotiating or networking, of also handling a certain kind of client or partner, whether it's a senior manager or a funder or anyone else you're involved with. And I throw in things like interviewing new hire candidates, or let's say you've never managed anyone before, but you're getting to that point where you think you can. Maybe you can have the opportunity to manage the summer interns or the regular interns or whatever it is. Is there a low costs, low risk way for you to get into that? And your development area might even be developing other people. All right. Okay. So people say, like, I have to work on my soft skills or have to work on my communication skills. Well, there really isn't a whole lot that's not communications. If you're sitting with a spreadsheet, okay, or creating a model, all right. But other than that, everything we do, just about everything we do is communication. And so don't tell someone they need to work on the communication skills, and don't yourself say, I need to work on my communication skills, because that could mean anything. So here's an example. This is a person who uses a lot of words and speaks a lot and goes what they call in the UK, goes around the houses and says all kinds of things. And then it's very difficult when you're listening to them to get clarity on what are the key points, what in here is really important that I need to listen to. So this is a person we want them to learn to talk in bullets. So we want them to clearly identify and communicate the key points, to eliminate non-essential information. And this is especially important in interactions with senior management, because they have no tolerance for this. And so we want them to be shorter and sharper. Okay. Not necessarily what you would assume when you see communication. It's communication you have with certain people in certain circumstances around certain topics. Is it writing or speaking? Is it when you're prepared or when you're extraneous speaking? So you want to look at what, when, and with whom, and the impact, right? Okay. And the same with soft skills, it's the same kind of thing. Which skills, with whom, when, etc. Okay, so these are the keys to success developmentally. And they're also the components of a very simple development plan. I don't believe you have to get super complex and long and etc. All you need is a target, what you're aiming for, a variety of things you're doing to try and develop in the area, and accountability. How do we know that you've made progress or reached the goal? Okay. And you, as the manager, are speaking into these things. How can you help them figure out their development target? How can you explore with them different ways to reach that target? And coming in and providing support and especially accountability. And also providing opportunities for feedback, connections to other people that would help them, etc. Okay. So let's look at what the target conversation sounds like. And this is similar to the motivation, but that was looking very specifically at what was motivating. Here we're looking at where the person wants to develop. So obviously, where do you want to develop now for the current job to be even better at what you're doing now currently? Where are you thinking you might go in the long term? And what do you see as the skills that you might need in that? And if perhaps I want to go to a different kind of job, a level or two up, but I'm not really sure what skills. Well, then maybe my development plan should be about finding people who do this, interviewing them, asking them how they got to this job, what skills they think are most important, any advice they have for you. So basically going around doing informational interviewing is it's a good technique, and we don't use it enough. If you had the time or money and money both to take any course you wanted, what would it be? Now, some things people tell you may not have to do with work, I want to learn French. That's fine. So I can speak to my, relatives in France. Okay, so if you had the time and money to take any course that was work related, what would it be? Okay, and then you get to the point where you have more than one, maybe more than one direction that you might want to choose for your current development. So if we came up with 3 goals, which is most meaningful to you now? Now, we all know from SMART goals that we talk about goals that are measurable. But not all goals, especially interpersonal ones, are measurable. So we talk about how will we measure or demonstrate, okay? How we're going to demonstrate success. And maybe it is someone who's going to shadow us or give us feedback or listen into a presentation that we're doing. Okay. So maybe it's what will people say after they come out of this program? Here's what I want people to say. So it's kind of illustrating the possibilities and what success looks like, even if you can't turn it into a number. I just want to stop for a minute. Do we have any questions? Okay. Another thing, usually we talk about our weaknesses, and that's what I'm going to work on, our challenges, etc. But the other possibility is to work in our areas of greatest strength. So we consider what else we might do to build on what is natural, what's good for us, what we enjoy doing. So, for example, let's say turns out I'm a good writer, and I like writing, and I'd like to do more of it. So perhaps what I will do is learn how to work on grants, how to write a grant, how to write a response, how to those sorts of things. Or maybe I like something so much I want to do more of it, do it at a higher level, etc. So it can be more fun or more lucrative to go further with what we're good at rather than fixing what we're bad at. And it's also helpful to know what's hard to fix and what's easy to fix. So, for example, strategic thinking is not the easiest thing to fix. You're better off, you can't see it. So it's hard to watch someone, do it, etc. I would suggest not trying to improve strategic thinking and rather trying to work on some of these other things that are more where there's more clarity, where they're more likely to succeed. Because this is all about helping the other person succeed, right? How can I help you? And similarly, after the conversation slide of you can asking about areas where they want to grow, add in are there any areas where you're already strong but you want to get even stronger? All right. Don't have any questions. I hope you'll have some at the end, folks. All right. Okay, so this research was done originally by the Center for Creative Leadership, but it's been generally accepted kind of across the board that the way we learn in the largest ways we learn are these 3 possible things, but we learn the most from the actual work. So challenging assignments, a new project, shadowing the boss, all that stuff that happens at work is the largest way we learn. And I think you'd probably find for yourself that's true as well. And another way, and that's only 20%, is developmental relationships. So your boss, your coach, your mentor, etc. Okay, and I'll do the last one and then I'll address the question. And courses take, going actually outside to a course or a training only constitute like 20% of the development that someone has, that most of us have. So I'm not saying don't go, but don't expect that that's going to be your big learning. Okay? Courses, trainings, conferences, things like that. Okay, so we have a question. My employees are young and not very talkative. Might I give them a list of options? Anyone want to try and answer for that? I assume we're talking about options for development, where they should.
You can encourage.
So my answer to that is definitely yes, but don't take a short list. Take like a full-blown competency model, and there's so many of them out there today. And they'll have which have categories, and let people walk through themselves. How well do they think they're doing on each of those, or which of them interests them, or where could they see themselves going? So yes to options, but I would say full-blown option, not here's the 2 things I already know you need to work on. So generally accepted set of things that people need to be able to do, or the managers need to be able to do, depending on the job as well. Oh, and if there's another way to address things that we're not good at, and I just don't want to skip it, which is to offload it to someone else, or to not do it, to craft your job such that that is not a piece of your what you need to do. Great. So Jessica says she determines what works for my staff based on their self-evaluations. That's exactly what you want them to have chosen, where they're going. Is their opportunity to be honest, and we can help them address their needs. Exactly. I sometimes use the language of I'm giving you this feedback or asking you to develop in this area because I have complete confidence that you can do this. All right. So my helping you go on this development path is because I believe you can get there. Right? It's not a negative. It's a help you learn more, develop more, contribute more, be more engaged, all of that. Okay, another question. Am I suggesting giving employee a task and then offering feedback is better than training? It depends. I would say it depends. This doesn't mean you should use exactly as much. This is what we find among people. But if it's something technical, if it's something where people want to practice first before trying it out, then training or feedback, either way, really. But training, I would keep training for more technical skills. And I don't only mean technical, managerial skills that are very specifically addressed in a particular training. So it doesn't mean don't use them. You're gonna use them more sparingly than you'll use the giving challenging assignments. Another thing you can do for learning from other people is you can have a peer And you can ask your peer to at meetings that you're both going to be at anyway, to give you feedback about what they're seeing at the meeting. Right? I was in a meeting the other day, and I turned to someone and said very quietly under my breath, "You're taking up too much space." A young person, a very young person, and she understood right away what I meant. Okay. How do we embed task in training? I'm not sure I understand. How do we embed task in training? Like, if you're putting someone on a project they've never been on, a team they've never been on before, a kind of issue they haven't worked with before, that's going to be both a challenging assignment and an opportunity to get feedback. More questions? Okay, so the challenge that they're referring to challenge assignments, that the assignment itself is not shaped as a challenge. The assignment is the assignment, but it addresses the individual's growth, right? So I only dealt with projects that are sort of simple and basic. Now I'm going to be on a project that is more complex. So you don't have to do anything to make the learning happen on that project, although feedback is very helpful. Maybe I've done projects before, but I never managed a project. Okay, we're going to give you a project where you're going to manage, and that the learning will come out of that. All right. So these are some examples, and also this other language around experience, exposure, and education, which I kind of like. So experience, as we were saying, projects, assignments, it might be a job. It might be volunteering outside work. So for example, let's say I want to learn something about finance, but I have just like no background in finance, and I don't really want to do this at my work, or, my boss doesn't agree that it's useful for me. So maybe you have a volunteer organization where you can be on the finance team, or where you have to work with different kinds of people than the ones you've dealt with so far. Okay. And in terms of, sorry. Okay, so in terms of exposure or learning from others, that's the 20%. So bosses, coaches, role models, peers, mentors, feedback givers. Difference between, sometimes people, the difference between role models and mentors. So your mentor is going to work with you and speak with you and all of that. A role model is someone who's more at a distance. And you're going to watch how this person does whatever it is you're watching them do, but they're not going to come and necessarily talk to you. Okay, and education. The research goes into education also. Maybe someone says, I want to do this area, or I want to take our organization in this direction. Well, maybe you can give them time to do the research on that, and come up with and figure out what it's all about and whether it makes any sense, and present the findings. All right. And some of the things that are not in the basic model are assessments, getting feedback via tools, journaling, that's shown to be very effective, and affirmations. So saying, I'll give you an example. I was very unhappy with a friend of mine because they weren't pursuing something that an opportunity that had been offered to them. And I was very unhappy about that. And so I wrote an affirmation to remind me while I would like them to succeed and to take this role, it's not up to me. It's up to them. It's their journey, and I'm going to accept whatever it is. Or if I don't get a perfect grade, it'll be all right. I will be okay. I'll be able to deal with it, rather than, oh, I must get a perfect grade, otherwise I'm horrible. I'm useless, right? So those are some of the ways that we learn. So let's go. And the last bit, right? We had to target the tactics, the methods, and the accountability. So accountability is often deadline. And you should ask people to set their own deadline rather than you giving it for them. Or if they say to you, well, how long do you think it'll take me to do this? Get what they think first so that they can develop their understanding. Okay, now we talked about the boss, the coach, and the mentors being parts of to use as developmental partners. You can also use them for accountability and support. The same with peers. Like, let's say your managers everyone's developing a development plan in your unit. So you can get together with another peer every week, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, to check on how are you doing, what's up with you in terms of the development plan, are you moving forward? And that person they can be to peer. It's now it's better if they also are working on their development plan, and you can do, well, like mutual help to each other. Now, managers, you can't develop other people, or you can't credibly develop other people if you're not developing yourself, right? So the text here is from something called Leadership Architect. It's a card deck with 67 cards that are the leadership competencies identified by this group, and one of which is developing direct reports. And they show you on the front of the card what it means to be good at this competency, to perform it appropriately. And the one on developing direct reports includes holds frequent development discussion, knows each direct's career goals, which I emphasize there, builds compelling development plans, or I would say helps build compelling development, and is a people builder. You know, what do you want your people to say 5 or 10 years out? What was it like to work for you? Was it very learningful for them? Was it very motivating for them? Did their career move ahead because they reported to you? So, okay, so this is a self-assessment here of some of the things that you should be doing or trying to do to create greater development, to promote development among your employees. And 1 is never, 5 is always, and you can just rate yourself. Am I creating a culture of eagerness to develop? Right? So, oh, I see everyone else is taking a challenging assignment. I want to get one of those too. Do you use a variety of techniques, activities, approaches to help your employee develop? Do you provide clear feedback on the progress and guidance? Are there with them? And lastly, do you transform average performers into high performers? Or do you want any of those to be your own development goals? I want to get better at doing this feedback thing, or writing better development plans or such. So we're almost done here. I'm just going to show you a sample of a development plan. And this is a Just hang on a sec. The target, right? We talked about target, variety, and accountability. So the target, this person wants to improve their networking skills and deepen their professional network. And measure or demonstrate is make 5 new good contacts and be more comfortable introducing myself to new people. And that's going to be subjective. You could try and quantify it. Like when I think of meeting a new person now, how well do I think I'll do in talking to them? And then ask that same question 3 or 6 months later, and to see if that's improved. So variety of tactics. I'm going to get feedback, ask role models what works for them, observe, peer coaching, reading, TED Talks, professional. And now this one, you can actually just, you can attend professional events. So you can practice while you're doing it, developing it. And lastly, accountability. I'm going to work with my peer. That's the one who's also developing, but they're developing with someone else. And I'm going to do it in 3 months. And that, I think that's a little ambitious, but we don't know. And these are not set in stone. They can be changed or updated or discarded if you find that you've already achieved what you were going to achieve with this one. So that was our introduction to development and motivation. This is me. If anyone wants to get in touch, happy to have you do that. And we have 4 minutes left if anyone has a question. Oh, that's something in the chat. Thank you. Great to have you all here.